Attached to an old TV or VCR? Let go and go to Best Buy. Now through Saturday, every TV and every VCR at Best Buy is on sale. Our Best Buys are even better. It's your move.
Statistics show that 46% of all kids who smoke marijuana are inner city kids. Guess who the other 54% are?
You're watching Channel 5.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. In Washington today, the nation's leading banker, the Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan, said yes, the economy has been disappointing. And to help the economy recover, the nation's central bank is ready to push interest rates even lower. But in his latest overview of the economy, Mr. Greenspan said what mystifies him most is the national mood, what he called the extraordinary apprehension that makes it look worse to the average American than in his view it really is. Here's our economics editor, Stephen Ogg.
Greenspan told members of the House Budget Committee that he cannot understand the big drop in consumer confidence that started last fall and has continued into this year. And he said confidence is worse than it was in the 1975 recession, when unemployment and job losses were far higher.
The 1975 recession was far more severe than this, but the sense of despair in this one was far greater than that one.
An ABC News Money Magazine survey indicates a major reason for the despair is that after more than a year of slow growth in wages, people are feeling pinched financially, and the survey's index is at an all-time low. 56% of Americans say their personal finances are in poor shape. 76% say this is a bad time to buy things. 92% say the national economy is doing poorly. And there's no indication that things are getting better.
We are not yet picking up any signals that the recovery is in process. Usually we have a message from the consumer 3 months before things really improve. We've not yet received that message.
President Bush told a meeting of grocers in Orlando, Florida, that things are not all that bad.
The professional pessimists tell us America has become weak and disabled, that our economy has fallen and it can't get up. Well, that is just plain bunk. It's not true.
But the key to getting the economy back up, Greenspan says, remains the American consumer.
I find it difficult to believe we can have any meaningful recovery if consumer confidence does not move along.
What's more, Greenspan said if the economy fails to move along, the Federal Reserve stands ready to lower interest rates even further to get it moving. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, Washington.
Still with the economy, Congress this afternoon has overwhelmingly passed and sent to the President for his certain signature a bill to extend unemployment benefits for another 13 weeks. Without the extension, 600,000 Americans would see their benefits run out by the end of this month. On the touchy subject of economic relations with Japan, what the Japanese government considered a necessary correction today, even though any number of American economists have said, don't just blame the Japanese, there are problems to be solved here at home. It's always a little grating to many Americans when the criticism comes from Tokyo. ABC's Bill Rediker from there tonight.
The Prime Minister tried to make up by playing down his remark that Americans are losing their work ethic. I did not intend to criticize American workers at all, he said. Japanese business leaders immediately chimed in. The chairman of Nissan Motors today invited American reporters to a briefing where he praised U.S. workers as hardworking and motivated. At least those working at plants where the managers are Japanese.
The products they turn out at our factories in America are as good as those we turn out in Japan.
The positive spin was also in evidence at a banquet tonight for American auto parts manufacturers. The Japanese stressed cooperation. These Americans, eager to do business here, agreed.
There has to be a long-term commitment to developing a long-term partnership in the market.
On Japan's top-rated television newscast tonight, anchorman Hiroshi Kume blamed foreign reporters for exaggerating tensions. Using U.S. television coverage of the Miyazawa flap, he said American journalists seemed to damage U.S.-Japan relations intentionally. Other media say Americans in general are too thin-skinned. The headline in this afternoon's Sankei Shimbun reads, "A hypersensitive reaction to the Prime Minister's comments." The cycle of criticism, apology, and more criticism continues. But both the government and Japanese businessmen believe their message is getting through. Don't blame Japan for America's problems. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Tokyo.
The head of the United Auto Workers Union said today there is no American problem. Owen Bieber says that Japanese officials are criticizing U.S. workers because they're scared. Mr. Bieber says the quality of American cars has improved so much that the Japanese are worried about the competition. Well, there's no way to prove that, but as ABC's Bob Jamieson reports, quality continues to be very much in the eye of the beholder.
It was in California, where Americans drive most, that Japanese automakers succeeded first. The Japanese now control half the California market because buyers believe their cars are better. But on this Buick lot in Pasadena, you can find the first signs of change in that perception.
We seem to get more people looking at our product. Now, that doesn't mean our sales have just skyrocketed, but we do have interest.
For 25 years, the California research firm J.D. Power has accurately forecast which cars the public will buy. And a new study shows many consumers now believe American cars are getting better.
You see various pockets throughout the country of more and more buyers becoming more sympathetic with the sincere efforts that the domestics have been making.
For the last 6 years, Power has charted a dramatic and steady change in customer complaints about the quality of cars coming off domestic assembly lines. In 1988, Ford's Taurus had 150 mechanical defects per 100 cars built. By 1991, only 120 per 100 cars, a 20% improvement. Chrysler's Fifth Avenue had 26% fewer defects, and the Chevrolet Corsica improved by 40%. But reliability remains a problem. When American cars become 5 years old, they still require twice as many repairs as Japanese cars. When replacement parts are needed, Japanese companies often provide them in hours. With domestic automakers, it can take days. Mechanics say it is premature for Big Three executives to declare their problems solved.
I think they ought to come down here and have a chat with us, guys that are actually turning wrenches and doing it for a living, trying to maintain profitability, customer satisfaction day in and day out.
And a 5-year study of auto manufacturing by MIT concludes that Detroit must do more than make a few good models from year to year.
What we have to do is change it from look at this and look at that to a consistency. And for Detroit to be able to over and over again turn out a quality product.
If Detroit can do that, it can beat the Japanese. Every consumer survey shows Americans want to buy domestic cars. Detroit does not even have to make a better car than the Japanese consumers say. Just one is good. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There was better news for Detroit today. The Big Three car makers say that sales for the last 10 days in January were up more than 16% from a year ago. And on the subject of driving foreign cars, in London today, a British union official said that Lady Diana, the wife of Prince Charles, is insensitive and deeply unpatriotic. Lady Di has replaced her British Jaguar with a German Mercedes. In a moment, some of the other news. All 1,200 lawyers in Knoxville, Tennessee, who are told they will defend the poor. On the American agenda tonight, our series on the crisis in healthcare, trying to control the cost of prescription drugs, and an extraordinary look at what it has been like in Zurich's Needle Park.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by AT&T.
Did you know the cost of 2 business calls from these Detroit mechanics to Atlanta may surprise you?
Vintage cars are my specialty.
With AT&T Long Distance, your small business can get AT&T quality at extremely competitive prices.
I treat cars like people.
Even though the other company would like you to believe
See ya.
they always save you lots of money.
That's all I save? Drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Competitive price. Another AT&T advantage.
It's gone. But it isn't.
Introducing an incredible Vicks cough drop like you've never known before.
It's gone, but it's still working.
A cough drop so powerful, it keeps on working even after it's gone.
It's still working.
All new Extra Strength Vicks. Extra strength with twice the Vicks vapor medicine to relieve your cough and help your scratchy throat and stuffy nose feel better. So try new Extra Strength Vicks. Extra strong to work even after the drop is gone.
It's still working.
In virtually every state of the union, the recession has led to a budget crisis this year. As we have reported Tennessee as an example, we've seen the effects in Campbell County, where a failure to find the money has stopped the school buses from running, and some students there haven't been to school in 3 months. Now, just down the road in Knoxville, it's the legal system that's in trouble. The fund from which lawyers are paid to represent the poor has run dry. ABC's Linda Patillo is in Knoxville now.
Grayford Gray is a law professor who has not been in a courtroom in 18 years, but next month he will be defending a man accused of not paying child support. Stuart Crane, a lawyer who specializes in wills and bankruptcies, must now defend a man charged with drunk driving. Douglas Toppenberg, who usually handles divorces, is now on tap to handle criminal cases.
I will do it, but I will do it under protest.
How would you describe the state that the system's in?
Well, it's absolute total chaos in my assessment.
Chaos because the local public defender's office is swamped. Its 6 lawyers are handling nearly 3,000 cases. The courts are backlogged, and the state fund that pays private lawyers to represent the poor has run out of money. The Constitution guarantees every defendant the right to a lawyer. So the judges here ordered every licensed lawyer in Knoxville, all 1,200 of them, to represent the poor at no charge.
No lawyer will be excused for any of the following reasons. A, does not accept appointed cases. B, does not practice criminal law. C, is too busy.
Which is why Knoxville's mayor, a lawyer who has never handled so much as a parking ticket, was in Judge McGee's courtroom today. He negotiated a plea bargain for a man charged with trespassing. But is it fair for a defendant to be assigned an attorney with no criminal experience?
It's a matter of luck, and justice ought not be just a matter of luck.
Some people worry that the inexperience of the lawyers could mean a lot of cases thrown out on appeal. But with more budget cuts to come, attorneys like the mayor will be spending a lot more time in unfamiliar territory. Linda Patillo, ABC News, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Elsewhere in the country, last Thursday, the city of Minneapolis became the latest to begin a program to encourage people to get rid of their guns, legal and illegal, by selling them to police, no questions asked. The city set aside $150,000 for a month-long Cash for Guns program. The money's run out already. Police say more than 4,000 guns were collected in the first 5 days. On Wall Street today, investors were hoping for even lower interest rates, and they sent the Dow Jones Industrials to another high, up 38.5 points to 3272, and the trading was heavy. In our next segment, the run to freedom, the dangerous run to freedom for hundreds of illegal immigrants.
Now it's a lonesome old world when you have to fight it all alone.
At Maytag, we still build them to last longer and need fewer repairs.
And it's twice as hard to take when I'm sitting all alone.
Maytag.
All alone.
The dependability people.
I was afraid to go to the doctor. I didn't want to hear that I might have an ulcer, but I just couldn't ignore my stomach. You can imagine how relieved I was when my doctor said Mylanta. He told me it wasn't an ulcer. It was indigestion. And indigestion like mine needed a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
If you're looking for a great vacation, start at the top. Take a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
Only Western Union can get money to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
The story of Mexicans trying to make their way into the United States illegally has taken a new and dangerous turn. Thousands of Mexicans make it across the border every day in the hope of finding work. That's not new. What is new is the unusual risk they are taking to get here. Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
For years, the illegal immigrants have climbed through fences and crossed roads to get over the border. But that is more difficult now with tighter patrolling and the building of a steel fence. Now, instead of avoiding the Border Patrol, they are overwhelming it at the checkpoint to Southern California. After a signal given by organizers, scores of men, women, and children run past Mexican and American guards into the oncoming traffic of the I-5 freeway. It happens 2 or 3 times a day.
It's organized by smugglers. They're in it as a business. If they can't succeed here, they'll go elsewhere. They're going to learn that they can't succeed here.
But the immigrants are succeeding now because they know the Border Patrol will not pursue them on the highway. In the last 2 years, 28 immigrants have been hit and killed on this stretch of freeway, and the Border Patrol believes chasing them only makes the situation more dangerous. American authorities have unsuccessfully urged their Mexican counterparts to stop the gate rushes on their own side.
They have a responsibility in operating their port of entry as a port of entry and not a port of departure.
Sudden spot checks like the one conducted this morning by the Americans have not stopped the gate crashers. The U.S. Border Patrol says that it will have to put extra agents at the checkpoint. As many as 3 million illegal immigrants cross into the U.S. every year, so the people running through the gate are really just a trickle. But they are an embarrassment to the Border Patrol at the one place it ought to be able to control, the front door. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Some other international news. In Hong Kong this morning, 21 people were burned to death when fighting broke out at a refugee camp for Vietnamese boat people. Rival gangs from northern and southern Vietnam battled for 4 hours. The 21 who died, including 5 children, had locked themselves in a hut to avoid the fighting. Someone set fire to the hut. In Venezuela, a group of rebellious soldiers tried to take over the government and failed. They attacked the presidential palace last night, but troops loyal to the president, Carlos Andrés Pérez, fought them off. And in Moscow today, doctors at one of the city's largest hospitals blocked a main road to demand better wages. The doctors make about 650 rubles a month. That's enough to buy about 10 pounds of sausage. We'll be back in just a moment with the American Agenda.
Sold.
Let's say you bought a painting. Let's say Van Gogh's sunflowers. Let's say you used the Discover card. You'd have a little money coming back. Because with the Discover card, every single charge earns an annual cashback bonus.
Nice.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
There's lots of ways to have garlic. The Kwai difference is the consistency of garlic qualities of this easy-to-swallow tablet. There's no better way to have garlic than odor-free Kwai.
Millions of Europeans have been taking Kwai odor-free garlic tablets for years. It's part of their daily diet.
Kwai is odor-free and so easy to swallow.
Kwai is available at quality drugstores, health and natural food stores, and general nutrition centers. Kwai, science and nature working for you.
Every sports sedan is supposed to do well in the fast lane. But what about these lanes? At Lexus, we've achieved extremely tight tolerances between all major body panels. So not only does the ES300 look like it's put together well, it actually is put together well.
Oh no, my hair's not only going gray, now it's getting thinner. I wish they made something for gray, thinning hair.
They have Grecian Plus. Grecian Plus is a fresh-smelling foam that gradually brings back natural-looking color, the famous Grecian way. But this Grecian has a big plus. It builds body for healthier, fuller-looking hair.
Your hair looks great. Feels thicker, too.
Grecian Plus, the total treatment for gray, thinning hair.
On the American agenda tonight, the crisis in the healthcare system, the crisis for the millions of Americans without coverage, as we've said before, and for those who have to pay more and more for the coverage they get. Tonight, the rising cost of prescription drugs. It is a greater problem here than in many other countries. Drug prices in the U.S., for example, are on average nearly 50% higher than they are in Europe. So doctors and hospitals here are finally trying to do something about it. Our agenda reporter is George Strait.
This is one of the newest battlegrounds in the fight against rising prescription drug prices, Puerto Rico. Virtually all American drug companies have production plants here. There is cheap labor, and to encourage development in Puerto Rico, the U.S. government gives the companies a tax break which adds more than $2 billion to their profits. Drug manufacturing is the most profitable industry in the nation. Too profitable, say critics, who see no justification for drug prices rising 3 times faster than other consumer products.
There are no controls. There is no pressure. There is no incentive whatsoever for them to reduce those prices.
Senator Pryor has developed an incentive. He has introduced a bill which says to the drug companies, lower your prices or lose your tax break. The industry complains that amounts to price control.
Price controls do not work in the United States. They've been tried, they don't work. I believe that Congress is wise enough not to impose some artificial price constraints on really one of America's most successful high-technology industries.
Even if Congress ends the tax breaks, the drug companies say it will be easy for them to avoid control.
If those tax advantages were removed, the companies wouldn't move immediately, but I think they would seek other areas where they do get tax breaks.
Since Congress cannot seem to control the drug industry, the battle has opened on another front. Healthcare providers are taking the lead. At the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, pharmacists are making rounds with doctors, helping them to choose drugs based on cost as well as need.
She was initially written by the surgeon for cimetidine, which I changed to sucralfate.
Why'd you change it?
Lower potential side effects as well as lower cost for equal efficacy.
Good reasons.
Doctors changed the prescription from a drug that costs $11 a day to one that costs $2 a day. Such savings are fought by the drug industry.
We are usually at odds. They're trying to sell me something that I don't want to buy, and they'll use every method at their disposal to make sure that they win and that I lose.
Many hospitals express anger and frustration at what they call the drug industry's arrogant refusal to moderate price increases. St. Mary's here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, has actually barred representatives from several drug companies from doing business here until the companies lower their prices. And in Detroit, the big Henry Ford Hospital is beginning to do the same. 3 weeks ago, officials here sent drug manufacturers this letter, saying the hospital will refuse to pay price increases that are more than inflation.
It was necessary to get the attention of the pharmaceutical industry that we work with that our costs are rising at a rate substantially above what we can afford.
On the West Coast, hospitals have become even more aggressive. Kaiser Permanente, the nation's largest health maintenance organization, keeps a tight rein on costs by limiting the drugs its doctors can prescribe and refusing to allow drug company representatives to give Kaiser doctors cash or other gifts for prescribing their products. The rules are strictly enforced.
We have recorded violations by the drug companies, averaging, I believe, about 30 a year, and we have suspended 8 of the major drug companies for a period of 6 months.
From hospitals and Congress, the pressure on drug companies is building.
They have got to more or less put on a better face and present a better image. If they don't, they're asking for trouble. What kind of trouble? Well, I hate to use the word price controls.
That threat of price controls has added to the pressure on drug companies. Enough that last month, 3 major ones, Bristol Myers Squibb, Merck, and Pfizer, offered discounts which would save consumers almost $100 million this year. Senator Pryor says that is a good first step. George Strait, ABC News, Washington.
Tomorrow night, a new experiment in getting health coverage to children who do not have any, providing it through the schools. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hello, Linus. I see your blanket's out for washing. I feel so insecure. Security is why over 45 million people trust MetLife to insure their lives and health and help plan their retirement. Does MetLife give out blankets? No, but the world-famous MetLife representative is the very symbol of security in an uncertain world. You're right. I feel better already. Get Met. It pays.
You know, if you drink a lot of fruit juice...
And apparently you do.
That's my point. Sunsweet prune juice makes a really delicious change of pace from these other juices.
Oh, you mean there are people who still haven't tried Sunsweet prune juice?
Hard to believe with my charisma.
You know, I can still remember the very first candy given to me by my grandfather. It was Werther's Original, and I was 4. I had a little trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and just plain good. But there was something else, too. I remember feeling I must be somebody very special when my grandpa gave me his wonderful butter candy. So, now I'm the grandfather. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? He's somebody special, too.
Tonight on Nightline with Ted Koppel, it's come down to the oil industry versus baby seals, the growing movement which says that environmentalists are wrecking the country. Tonight.
Finally from here this evening, bad times in Needle Park and the end of a social experiment. In a great many cities around the world, there is an effort being made to balance two great evils: intravenous drug abuse and the spreading of AIDS through sharing infected needles. The Swiss city of Zurich has tried an unusual solution, giving addicts a place of their own where they can shoot up at will, using clean needles. ABC's Mike Lee reports tonight on an experiment that failed miserably.
For 3 years now, liberal-minded Zurich officials have allowed this park to be used by drug addicts. It has been a bold experiment designed to fight the spread of AIDS through contaminated needles. There are vending machines where dirty syringes are exchanged for clean ones. Doctors and social workers also handed out up to 12,000 sterile syringes each day.
When they come to change their needles, we are in contact with them. They can ask us questions. We are counseling them about all kinds of social and medical problems.
The Needle Park experiment actually did achieve its goals. AIDS cases were reduced here, and addicts were given life-saving medical help. But the park itself became a worldwide stage for the ugly realities of drug abuse.
With its immunity from the enforcement of drug laws, Needle Park became a mecca for thousands of addicts from less tolerant cities throughout Europe. The park also enabled pushers to expand their market.
Did you start because it was easier to start here?
Of course, because it was sort of legal. I mean, it is legal, actually. You come in here and you can use it. The police is here. You can use it in front of them. You just can't sell it in front of them.
Many addicts, like Manfred, support their habit by mixing drugs for others, then shooting up with the leftovers. Manfred says that overdoses are common.
Oh, yeah. He has too much.
Scenes like this, along with an increase in drug-related crimes and worldwide publicity about the park, frightened away many tourists and damaged the local economy. So, Needle Park is being closed. Police will now enforce drug laws more strictly. Addicts will still be offered clean needles, but only from neighborhood clinics, mobile vans, and more vending machines. Some drug users say they are too desperate to spend time finding clean needles.
They just wash them out a little bit, sometimes even in toilets. You know, take toilet water, clean it out, and then use it for the next shot.
By closing Needle Park, Zurich is hoping to solve its image problem. But addicts will face a greater risk of death by dirty needles and AIDS. Mike Lee, ABC News, Zurich.
That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. Tuesday.
Come on, Jeff!
10 seconds.
A long-distance romance with 2 strikes against it.
I don't think you try to understand baseball.
It's a bad connection with a lot of interference.
That little Buckeye is adorable.
Can I walk you home?
Now,
Homefront, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central.
maybe you'll get lucky.
Come on, Raisin Bran is Raisin Bran. What's this? Total Raisin Bran, huh? Big crisp flakes, lots of raisins. This is amazing. Total Raisin Bran has 100% of lots of vitamins and minerals. And Kellogg's has only 1. I'm surprised.
Total Raisin Bran. The Raisin Bran with the total difference.
I just assumed they were all the same, but they're not.
Are you stuck in a job with no chance to advance? Call the National Education Center for a copy of this brochure.
Find out how you could train for a career in electronics in a lot less time than you think.
Find out about NEC's hands-on training, professional instructors, and flexible class schedules. Even keep your present job while you learn.
For a brochure on career training in electronics, call 1-800-722-7336.